Picture this, it's 2 a.m., and you're wide awake, staring at the ceiling. Your mind is racing with a life you can almost taste a life, where you're not just surviving, but thriving. Maybe it's you, standing on a stage, sharing your passion with the world. Or it's you, waking up in a home that feels like freedom, surrounded by people who see the real you. But then reality hits the alarm clock. The commute, the job that pays the bills, but dims your spark. That gap between where you are and where you want to be feels like a canyon. What if I told you it's not a gap at all? What if science, yes, the kind that baffled Einstein, proves you're already connected to that dream life, not by chance or hard work, but by the very laws of the universe? This isn't a pep talk. This is quantum entanglement. And it's about to show you that the life you're chasing is already waiting for you to claim it. Let me introduce you to Sarah, a 34-year-old graphic designer living in a modest apartment in Chicago. Every morning, she drags herself out of bed, makes coffee, and sits at her kitchen table, staring at a laptop screen filled with corporate branding projects. She's good at her job, great, even, but it's not her. Deep down, Sarah dreams of being an artist, painting vibrant canvases that tell stories, traveling to places that inspire her, and living a life where her creativity isn't confined to deadlines. But that life feels like a distant star, beautiful, but unreachable. She's tried everything: self-help books, manifestation apps, even a vision board that's now collecting dust in her closet. Nothing seems to bridge the gap, or so she thought. One evening, scrolling through her phone, Sarah stumbles across a documentary about quantum physics. It's not her usual content, she's more into true crime podcasts, but something about the title catches her eye: The Universe is Listening. The narrator talks about quantum entanglement, a phenomenon where two particles, once connected, remain linked no matter how far apart they are. If one changes, the other responds instantly, defying space and time. Einstein called it spooky action at a distance, and even he couldn't fully wrap his head around it. But as Sarah listens, a light bulb goes off. What if this isn't just about particles? What if she's entangled with the version of herself who's already living her dream life? The artist, the traveler, the woman who wakes up every day with purpose. This idea hits Sarah like a lightning bolt. For years, she's felt this restless energy, a nagging sense that she's not where she's supposed to be. She's had moments fleeting, vivid flashes where she sees herself painting in a sunlit studio, laughing with new friends in a European cafe, or standing in front of a gallery filled with her artwork. She always dismissed these as daydreams. But what if they're more? What if they're glimpses of a timeline that's already real? A reality she's already connected to through the quantum field. Suddenly, the gap between her current life and her dream life doesn't feel like a canyon. It feels like a bridge she can cross by tuning her energy to the right frequency. Let's break this down, because this isn't just Sarah's story, it's yours too. Quantum entanglement is one of the most mind-bending discoveries in modern physics. When two particles interact, they become so deeply linked that their states are no longer separate. If you measure one, the other instantly reflects that change. Even if it's on the other side of the universe. No signals, no delays. Just a connection that transcends everything we thought we knew about reality. Now, here's where it gets personal. What if your consciousness, your energy, is part of this same quantum field? What if the version of you who's already living your dream life, confident, fulfilled, free, is entangled with the you, sitting here right now? This isn't science fiction. Researchers like Dr. David Bohm and Dr. John Bell have shown that the quantum field is a vast, interconnected web of possibilities, where everything is linked at a fundamental level. And if consciousness is non-local meaning, it's not confined to your brain. As studies in quantum mechanics and neuroscience are starting to suggest, then you're already connected to every potential version of yourself. The you who's thriving, the you who's fearless, the you who's living your dream life, they're not out there in some distant future. They exist now, in the quantum field, waiting for you to align with them. For Sarah, this realization was a turning point. She'd spent years trying to manifest her dream life, but it always felt like pushing a boulder uphill. She'd write affirmations, visualize her goals, and hustle harder, but nothing stuck. Why? Because she was still vibrating at the frequency of her old self. Every morning, she'd wake up with the same anxieties. What if I quit my job and fail? What if I'm too old to start over? What if I'm not talented enough? Those thoughts weren't just passing worries, they were signals, broadcasting a frequency that kept her entangled with a reality of doubt and limitation. The quantum field doesn't respond to what you want on paper. It responds to your dominant frequency, the emotions, beliefs, and energy you embody most consistently. Let's make this crystal clear: your reality is a mirror. The quantum field is like a cosmic radio station, and your emotions are the dial. If you're tuned to fear, lack, or self-doubt, you'll connect with experiences that reflect those frequencies. Stagnation, frustration, missed opportunities. But if you tune to trust, gratitude, or clarity, you'll start pulling in the timeline where those qualities are your norm. This isn't about attracting your dream life. It's about syncing with it. Your dream life isn't something you create from scratch. It's something you remember, something you align with, something that's already broadcasting, waiting for you to match its signal. So, how do you do that? How do you shift from where you are to where you want to be? Let's follow Sarah's journey to find out. After watching that documentary, she decided to stop chasing and start aligning. She created a daily ritual, not the kind with candles or crystals, but one rooted in intention and energy. Every morning, before the world could pull her into its chaos, she'd sit with a cup of coffee and ask herself, who is the Sarah I'm entangled with today? Not the Sarah who's stressed about client deadlines or worried about her bank account, but the Sarah who's already an artist, already free, already living with purpose. She'd close her eyes and feel what that Sarah feels: calm, confident, alive. She'd imagine how that Sarah walks into a room, how she speaks, how she makes decisions without second-guessing herself. Then, Sarah would take one small action to embody that version. One day, it was buying a sketchbook and spending 20 minutes doodling, even though she hadn't drawn for fun in years. Another day, it was emailing an old art school friend to reconnect, despite the voice in her head saying, "What's the point?" These weren't grand gestures. They were micro choices, each one a signal to the quantum field that she was ready to sync with a new reality. And slowly, something started to shift. She began noticing signs. Her friend invited her to a local art show. A co-worker mentioned a gallery looking for new talent. Even a random ad for a painting workshop popped up on her phone. These weren't coincidences. They were the field responding to her new frequency. Let's ground this in science for a moment. Quantum entanglement isn't just a metaphor. It's a measurable phenomenon. In experiments, entangled particles have been shown to influence each other instantaneously, even when separated by thousands of miles. This suggests that the universe is far more interconnected than we ever imagined. Now, consider consciousness. Studies in neuroscience, like those by Dr. Andrew Newberg, show that our thoughts and emotions create measurable changes in our brain and body. When you combine a clear intention, like wanting to live your dream life, with an elevated emotion like gratitude or joy, your brain starts rewiring itself. This is called neuroplasticity, and it's how you literally become a new version of yourself. But it's not just your brain. The quantum field responds to your emotional state. Dr. Joe Dispenza, a pioneer in blending neuroscience and quantum physics, explains it like this. The quantum field doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to who you are being. When Sarah started feeling like the artist she wanted to be, even for a few minutes each day, she wasn't just daydreaming. She was sending a new signal to the field, entangling herself with a timeline where that identity was real. And the field, ever neutral, ever responsive, started mirroring that signal back. Now, let's get practical. You don't need to understand quantum physics to apply this. You just need a ritual, a daily practice to tune your frequency. Here's what Sarah did, and what you can start today. 1. Morning alignment, 5 to 10 minutes. Before you check your phone or dive into your day, find a quiet moment. Ask yourself, who am I entangled with today? Picture the version of you living your dream life. What do they feel? Confidence, freedom, joy. Let that emotion fill your body. This isn't about forcing positivity. It's about anchoring yourself in the frequency of your future self. If it helps, write down one quality that version of you embodies: courage, clarity, peace, and carry it with you all day. 2. Micro actions. 2 per day. Take 1 or 2 small steps that align with that version of you. If your dream life involves writing a book, write 1 paragraph. If it's about being healthier, take a 10-minute walk. If it's about building a business, research 1 idea. These actions aren't about instant results. They're about broadcasting your new identity to the field. Sarah started by sketching for 20 minutes, and it led to her signing up for an art class. Small steps create big ripples. 3. Evening reflection. 5 minutes before bed. Close your eyes and breathe deeply. Visualize yourself as the person you're becoming, and feel the emotions of that reality: gratitude, peace, excitement. Neuroscience shows that your brain can't distinguish between a real experience and a vividly imagined one. By feeling these emotions, you're encoding them into your nervous system, making them your new baseline. Sarah would end her day imagining her paintings hanging in a gallery, feeling the pride and joy of that moment. 4. Emotional inventory weekly. Once a week, check in with yourself. What emotions are you rehearsing most often? Fear, frustration, or trust? Joy, your dominant emotions, are your strongest signals to the field. If you're stuck in old patterns, don't judge yourself. Just notice and choose 1 new emotion to practice. Sarah realized she was holding on to resentment from a past job. So she started practicing forgiveness, not for her boss, but for herself. It freed up space for her to feel more creative. This ritual isn't about perfection. It's about consistency. Sarah didn't transform her life overnight. There were days when she doubted herself, when her inbox felt like a prison, when her old fears crept back. But she kept going, because she understood something crucial: the quantum field is always listening. Your reality right now, your job, your relationships, Your energy is a perfect reflection of the frequency you've been broadcasting over time. Not what you hoped for in a moment of inspiration, not what you wrote on your vision board, but what you've embodied day in and day out. Let's pause here for a reality check. Most people get stuck because they expect transformation to be dramatic: a new job offer, a sudden windfall, a perfect partner showing up at their door. But that's not how the quantum field works. It responds to patterns, not peaks. Sarah didn't quit her job the day she learned about quantum entanglement. She didn't wake up to a gallery contract, but she started noticing subtle shifts. Her art class led to a connection with a local artist who invited her to collaborate on a project. That project got her work noticed by a small gallery. Each step was small, but each one was a response from the field, confirming she was on the right frequency. Here's where Sarah's story gets really interesting. About 6 months into her ritual, she faced a test. Her company offered her a promotion, a big one, with a raise and a fancy title. On paper, it was everything she'd worked for. But her gut screamed, "This isn't you." The old Sarah would have taken the offer, clinging to security. But the new Sarah, the one who'd been tuning into her artist self every day, saw it differently. She realized that saying yes to the promotion would mean saying no to her dream. So, she did something radical. She turned it down. Not because she had a safety net, but because she trusted the signal she was sending to the field. That decision was a quantum leap. Within weeks, things started moving. The gallery project turned into her first solo exhibit. A friend connected her with a mentor who helped her sell her first painting. She even got an unexpected refund from an old tax filing, giving her enough to book a trip to Florence, a city she'd always dreamed of visiting for its art. These weren't random strokes of luck. They were the field responding to her coherence. By saying no to what didn't align, Sarah created space for what did. And the more she embodied her artist self, the more her reality shifted to match. Now, let's bring this back to you. If you're feeling stuck, if your dream life feels like a distant concept, here's the hard truth: you're not doing anything wrong. You're just entangled with an old version of yourself. Most of us are. We wake up each day and replay the same emotions: stress, lack, fear, not because we want to, but because our nervous system is addicted to familiarity. And familiarity, even if it's painful, feels safe. That's why change is hard. You're not just changing your habits. You're rewiring your identity. Your subconscious mind, shaped by years of experiences, traumas, and societal programming, is constantly projecting a reality that feels normal, even if it's not what you want. But here's the liberating part: you can change the signal. The moment you decide to shift, the field starts responding. Not someday. Not when you're ready now. Sarah's not special. She's not more talented or lucky than you. What changed for her was her willingness to trust the process, even when the results weren't immediate. She didn't wait for permission or proof. She started acting like the person she wanted to be, even when her bank account didn't reflect it, even when her apartment still felt small, even when her fears told her to play it safe. Let's talk about why this matters for you. Your dream life, whether it's a new career, a loving relationship, financial freedom, or just feeling at peace, isn't a destination. It's a frequency, and you're already entangled with it. The question isn't, how do I get there? It's, who am I being today? If you're broadcasting fear, you'll get situations that confirm it. If you're radiating trust, you'll start seeing signs, small at first, then bigger, that you're on the right path. The field doesn't reward or punish. It reflects. And it's reflecting you right now. So, what's holding you back? Maybe it's the same thing that held Sarah back at first, an addiction to the familiar. Most people don't realize how much their emotions are running the show. You might want abundance. But if you're constantly feeling scarcity, that's the signal you're sending. You might want love, but if you're replaying old hurts, that's the frequency you're broadcasting. The good news, you can interrupt those patterns. You can choose a new emotion, a new action, a new story about who you are. And when you do, the field has no choice but to respond. Let's look at another layer of Sarah's journey to drive this home. As her art career started taking shape, she noticed something else: her relationships were changing. She used to spend time with co-workers who complained about their jobs, reinforcing her own frustration. But as she tuned into her artist self, she started gravitating toward people who inspired her other creatives, dreamers, people who saw possibility instead of limitation. This wasn't intentional. It was vibrational. The more she embodied her new frequency, the less she resonated with the old one. Her old friends didn't disappear, but her energy naturally pulled her toward connections that matched her new identity. This is a key point. Your frequency doesn't just shape your reality, it shapes your environment. The people, opportunities, and even the challenges you face are all reflections of your dominant signal. If you're stuck in a cycle of negativity, you'll attract